Hey everyone, I'm Rocks, and holy fucking shit, she's green! I love her, this is one of my favorite parts, I'm so excited! So I'm far from a JoJo tuber, but one of the few pieces of media I actually put time away for in my admittedly busy schedule is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I've talked about this a few times before on the channel, but I am absolutely enamored with this series and everything surrounding it, except for the video games. Those are pretty weird. But the point is, I love JoJo's, and I could go on about it forever. So imagine my excitement when they officially announced an adaptation of JoJo Part 6, Stone Ocean. It's one of those things that we all already kinda knew, but finally knowing concretely with no ifs, ands, or buts on the matter is exciting and has got me back into that patented JoJo fever that happens every time one of these announcements comes out. And if you've been around on the channel for a while, you probably know that Stone Ocean is one of my favorite JoJo parts. So naturally, much like the rest of the internet, I've been building up all these different things in my head that I wanted to see in an eventual Stone Ocean anime. So striking while the iron is still somewhat warm, I want to share with you my personal Stone Ocean anime wish list. But before I dive into it, spoilers. Sorry anime onlys, JoJo's has been out for such a long time that it must get annoying when everyone's talking about manga exclusive events, but what are you gonna do? Anyways, on with the video. JoJo endings do two things pretty consistently. They are songs from the West, and they are songs that Araki was supposedly listening to during the time of the original manga's creation. Stone Ocean's original manga released from January of 2000 to April of 2003, although it's safe to assume parts of it were in production before that initial release date. So you could use any number of songs that came out in that time. However, music isn't exactly linear, and Araki could have feasibly been listening to music that came out any number of years beforehand, so this thinking isn't exactly concrete. Not to mention that the part takes place in 2011, so they could use any number of songs that came out during that time period as well. So never mind, I have nothing to go off of. Some songs that I think could work as an ending theme for Stone Ocean are Ocean Man by Ween, Mad World by Gary Jules, and The Sweet Escape by Gwen Stefani. Ocean Man because it's called Stone Ocean, although I've seen some people say that they want this as an ending theme for the eventual Part 8 anime, and I kinda really love that idea too. Mad World because of the ending of Part 6. And The Sweet Escape because it very much resonates the energy of that time period, stars a female singer, and the lyrics describe an unhealthy relationship, needing to escape from a bad mental state, and the need to find common ground with your partner. But you could easily reinterpret the lyrics to describe a more familial bond than a romantic one, and it would reflect pretty nicely on Jotaro and Jolene's relationship at the beginning of Stone Ocean. This is probably the hottest take I'm going to drop this video. I think this would work really nicely. Most JoJo parts have two distinct endings, and I think any of these would work well as the first ending. Of course, I'm gonna have to shout out Check the Rhyme, Drops of Jupiter, Virtual Insanity, and Easy Lover as potential ending choices as well. I think if you've been around the block in the JoJo community, you've probably seen most of these by now, but they're so cool. This is like top tier fan-made material, and I didn't want to overlap with any of these guys, so just know that any of these could work out pretty well too. If you haven't seen them yet, links in the description. There's one place I don't want to be original though, and that's with the second ending. Almost unanimously across the internet, I have seen people clamoring for David Productions to use What a Wonderful World as a bit of dark foreshadowing for the ending of the part, and I love that idea. I think What a Wonderful World is one of the only chapters in JoJo to be named after a song that isn't also the name of a stand, and I think that's cause enough to be celebrated. I think that this ending is a big enough moment in the series that they'll give it the reverence it deserves, something on the same tier as Chocolata or Dio's stand reveal. As for what the endings would look like, I've had a bit of an idea for this for a while now. For the prison arcs, I think we should get something similar to Modern Crusaders, a mural of sorts, a long panning shot of a table with a bunch of different prisoners' paperwork scattered across it. We'll start with Jolene, and as the episodes go on, we'll get all the different guys in order of appearance. And by the final episode with this ending, it'll be messy as fuck. Mugshots, manila folders everywhere, and it'll pan up from the table to a window and show the swamp where Foo Fighters died. And that'll be it. As for the hypothetical What a Wonderful World ending, I'm gonna need to sidetrack a bit. Steven Universe Future does something with its credits that I think is pretty neat, and to avoid spoiling it, here's a quick little timestamp. Go to there. Alright. The credit sequence is the ending of the show. Every episode ends and you see the car driving away from the beach in the distance. So when you get to the final episode, there's a seamless transition. You see him drive off and then it cuts to the credits and he's still going. And then you have the realization that every episode beforehand was showcasing this moment. It was telling you what was going to happen without telling you what was going to happen. It's pretty neat, right? So in my ideal world, Stone Ocean's second ending would be the actual ending of Stone Ocean. Picture this. A car with completely opaque windows is driving down a really long road. Each shot of this car features a decent amount of sky in the background composition. So let's say like 3 seconds after the shot lingers, our characters would fade into the background sky, kinda like this. Repeat this 6 times for each of our individual cast members, and the final shot would be all 7 of our main heroes in the sky behind the car as it drives just past the horizon or out of frame. Now, set that to What a Wonderful World. And now imagine what an anime only will be thinking when the final episode of Stone Ocean airs. My name is Emporio. They stop to pick up weather report. They start driving again only for a seamless transition into the credits. Credits that we have seen many times before, but now they take on a new meaning. I really like this idea. I think part of the fun of JoJo's openings and endings is that they always have a little bit of subtle foreshadowing to them, which is great for anime onlys to look back on and great for manga readers like myself to see going forward. But this is only one half of that puzzle. The other half is... Now, admittedly, compared to my ideas for the endings, I have far less ideas for this, but I think it'll be pretty neat regardless. For one, I think I speak for everyone when I say I would like another 3D intro. Parts 4 and 5 have my favorite openings throughout the bunch, but there's so much more personality to be found in 3D. And it sets itself apart as a unique piece in comparison to the 2D animation that comes standard on most anime. But that's neither here nor there. There is one idea that I've seen floating around a lot online though, and that's the idea that Part 6 should feature a quick montage of the Joestars, kinda like Sonochi no Sadame did. But I have a slightly different pitch. Assuming that this part gets 2 openings like Part 5, what if opening 2 ends with the panel montage in reverse? Like, instead of ending with Jonathan coming into frame, what if we started with Jonathan like fighting Dio or doing the Sunlight Yellow overdrive, and then progress normally from there? We'll put this at the very end of opening 2, and when it gets to Jolene, cut to a group shot, Stone Ocean logo, perfect. That way, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure starts with Jolene leading all the other Joestars into the anime, and it ends with all of them leading Jolene on her way out. That's some poetry right there. I wish I had more ideas on the content of the intros themselves, but frankly, nothing I could say could compare to the outgoing creativity of the folks at David Productions. However, one more place I could touch on is the patented JoJo villain fucks up the opening thing. Dio killing the Crusaders and stopping time. Kira reversing time and bringing darkness upon the land. Diavolo fucking up and then promptly getting fucked up by Giorno. Each one of these seems to be more in-depth and complex than the last, so you know what, let's make it even crazier for Part 6. Enrico Pucci has 3 stands. What if each one of them gets their own variation of fucking with the intro? Once again, assuming that Part 6 gets 2 openings, I think it's pretty safe to say that one will take place on the shenanigans within the prison, and the other will be more on the stuff outside the prison. Kinda like how Part 5 is split between doing the boss's work and the moment they decided to betray him. If we're gonna do 3 different villain openings, I bet we're gonna get a Whitesnake themed one on the last episode to use the first opening. As for what Whitesnake would do, I don't know. My initial idea was having him put stand discs in different scenes in the opening, making stands appear and like harm the characters, but the more you think about it, the less it makes sense. I think it's almost guaranteed that there'll be some mention of Foo Fighters getting boiled, but I'm not sure how that's gonna work. However, the other 2 is where it gets more fun. In our hypothetical opening 2, I imagine at some point the green baby will show up. So what if when Pucci gets Sea Moon, that portion in the opening is when shit starts to shift? Sea Moon has a few different abilities in the manga, but the most prominent threat he delivers is inversion, his ability to turn things inside out. What if for the intro, he inverts certain scenes? Obviously, the opening will showcase all the different characters doing their different things, but when Sea Moon shows up, let's invert the colors and give premonitions of their fate. JoJo openings historically have been very good at clearly showing what happens to different characters without making it too obvious for new viewers, so I think this idea could work. Also, going back to that JoJo montage I mentioned earlier, what if when Sea Moon appeared, the montage inverted as well? So instead of being each JoJo doing their iconic poses or classic thing, it's each of their biggest losses. In Sonochi no Sadame, each of the JoJos have around 3 different panels before shifting to the next one. So let's say this idea does happen. What would we show as each JoJo's biggest defeated moments? I say we would see Jonathan losing Danny, Jonathan losing his dad, and Jonathan's corpse holding Dio's head. Joseph crying over Caesar, Lisa getting nearly decimated, and Joseph getting his blood stolen by Dio. Jotaro has the deaths of the other Crusaders, Josuke would have the death of Shigechi, the multiple deaths of Rohan, and the almost death of Okuyasu. For Giorno, it'd be the eventual fates of Abakio, Narancia, and Bucciarati. And we wouldn't show Jolene's team all dying yet, because at this point, that would still be a spoiler. Would it be a bit dark and far-fetched to have the major deaths of each part quickly montaged before our eyes? Yes. But Stone Ocean is ultimately about the Joestars losing. So I think for the inverted version of the opening, it would make sense to not portray them as heroes, but rather showcase their losses. Making it so when they eventually get to live a peaceful, normal version of their lives at the very end, it's more impactful. Show that while yes, they're the good guys, death does follow the Joestar name around. So now we go into Made in Heaven, and this might be even more far-fetched, but I love the idea of completely abandoning traditional theme song structure for this one entirely. First of all, I think it'd be pretty funny if they just played the opening super fast and that was it, no extra fanfare. But this is the last JoJo part in this universe. That's cause for some theatrics, in my opinion. So what if they sped through every single opening up until that point? Let's say the final shot of the second Stone Ocean opening is a cool group shot. I envision something like the Bites the Dust intro, where everything is normal until you see Killer Queen. What if the first bit was normal, but then we get to the point where we would normally see Poochie in the intro, and he's gone. Like Bill Cipher torn out of the page gone. Then I envision we'll get something very similar to the Dashing Dr. K's fan-made animation. Time will begin to move very quickly, but in the foreground, Poochie will appear, with harsh, anime-style sketch lines outlining his every movement. Picture what they did with the Pillarmen in the Part 2 opening, I'm thinking something like that. Poochie will pan from left to right in the foreground, while every opening we've come to be familiar with will rocket past him in the background. When the last part of the last opening comes to its conclusion, hard cut to the final group shot. Again, this part at its core is about the Joestar family as we know it coming to an end. While I would love to give Jolene the Giorno treatment, giving her some special opening where she's super awesome looking, I think it's more fitting if we just gave Poochie this more all-powerful look to him. So eventually when he does lose at the end, it feels even more like we're defying fate by doing this. That's just my 2 cents though, and it's not even including the possibility that they might want to make the What a Wonderful World chapter its own episode, and that would likely warrant its own opening, So I've talked about most of my major wants from this adaptation, and most of them just kind of amount to cool extra shit they could do. But I do have a few smaller things I'd like to see that I can't really talk about in too much detail. So you know what? Here's a quick lightning round. I hope they add Foo Fighters and Emporio to the final shot. I hope they make Anasui's color scheme blue. I hope they represent the more abstract panels of Stone Ocean's manga with the detail that they deserve. I hope Anasui is just a man from the beginning, so I don't have to live through another 10 years of the why did he randomly change genders debate. I hope they give Hermes a more distinct design for the What a Wonderful World bit, because the other two are wearing completely fucking different outfits. Why does Hermes look the exact same? I hope they really lean into the gore of the final confrontation. This scene's supposed to be traumatizing. Let's go hard with it. I hope they remix Jotaro's theme for his grand reappearance towards the end. And lastly, I hope Stone Ocean getting an animated adaptation will finally clear the water for this part. I have gone almost my entire time in the JoJo fandom with everyone telling me that Stone Ocean is by far the worst part. And coming out of my own reading, I didn't see it. There are some people who have made it more popular to shit on Stone Ocean than I think it deserves, and I hope with an anime adaptation coming out that we'll be able to get out of this negative headspace for one of my favorite parts. I mean, every animated JoJo part has added some stuff here or there. I think it's pretty safe to assume that we'll get some clarifications on some of the stuff in Stone Ocean as well. Is it too hopeful to assume that Stone Ocean finally getting an anime will stop people from picking it apart every 5 seconds? Maybe, but look at the internet, man. People change opinions so quickly that I think it could happen. Either way, JoJo Fever is now back in season, and I, for one, could not be more excited. And if you want to see my downfall into JoJo Fever, why don't you subscribe to RV Rocks and ring the bell, like this video, and comment your hopes for the Stone Ocean anime. As I said earlier, I am deep in JoJo hell, and I may or may not have some more JoJo content coming eventually. Okay, I totally have some JoJo shit in the pipeline right now, so if you're a fan, I hope to see you again soon. But before we do any of that, I have been RV Rocks, and thank you so much for watching. See ya!